Christina Clement is an entrepreneur, spiritual mentor, actress, and author. And she's here. How are you today?
I'm awesome. How are you, Toby?
I'm doing great. Now, your new book is called Locs Linked to Spirituality. So, what's the basic idea of the book, first of all?
So the basic idea of the book really wanted to get the message out on how deep, Locs is for the community, for the culture. I just found that there was this thing happening where we were more focused on the styling part of it. And being, from Jamaican descent, I just knew it was a little bit more behind that. And it was doing the research for the book that I learned, and really the research for my Loc Museum. And, once we did the research for the Loc Museum, it was able to connect all the moving pieces. And I'm like, yeah, we definitely got to get this message out to the people.
Yeah, the Loc Museum sounds fun. What's that about?
Basically, like in the book as well, there's pictures that I have painted, but it also is like a combination of the spiritual mentoring and the history of Locs all around.
Yeah. And of course, the book being called Locs Linked to Spirituality, what is it that links Locs to spirituality?
So basically, we keep the energy because the top of your head is that crown chakra, right?
Yeah.
And, we keep our hair once it's locked. And that goes for any culture, any race, right? Because the locking process basically is the tangling of the hair, right?
Yeah.
And we are all connected with the earth, right? We are one of the same. We all need water. We all need the carbohydrates and the vitamins, and we all get information from the sun. So with that, we get our downloads from the creator because we were made in God's image. And some people might call it a quiet whisper. Some might call it an instinct. But the longer your locks get, the louder that message is received.
And do you have to have locks to have these benefits, or could it be any hair?
I believe you get a subtle sound with any hair, but it gets really pronounced with locks. It's just like having an antenna, right?
Yeah.
The longer the reach is, the better the reception is. And honestly, it's been traced through generations that the wisest man or the wisest woman with locks normally is the one that's so long.
Yeah. And there are different types of locks, aren't there? Different styles.
Yeah, it's more like the sizes and the names. But again, the idea behind it is not to conform to society, right? Because there's a level of detaching that one goes through to find oneself and to get in alignment with the creator. So the differences that's out there is, free forming locks, which is to me the original locks because we didn't have combs and things back then. Yeah. Then you have what they created, sister locks, which is a multiple knots in the hair. Then you have the various sizes in between that.
Yeah. All these different types of locks, do they all have the same spirituality benefit, or are some maybe more spiritual than others?
I would have to say that is a case by case situation based on the person, if they are ready to receive their message, because honestly, locks is a hairstyle that most people tend to shy away from, and they struggle. They have an inner struggle in getting them. But once they do get them, you have to face a lot of things. You have to face a lot of choices that you made, right? If you wasn't living right versus wrong and you made a lot of choices, you went against your instincts and you just had a messy type of life, you have to still face those things, right? Because if you dished it out, you have to take care of them, right? If you lied to somebody, expect to be lied to. If you took from somebody, expect to be taken from. Like, it's a fair exchange. That's the law of the land. And that's something that really happens. So when a person is, and a lot of people also, I've noticed that turn to locks is when they have been a people pleaser and they just feel exhausted from everybody just constantly taking taken from them, but really it wasn't taken from them. It was a lesson that they had to learn to accept this fate of theirs, right?
Yeah.
And once they do make that commitment, because Locs teaches you commitment, it teaches you spirituality, it teaches you loyalty. So once you do make that commitment, it's just better for you, but you're just gonna have to basically clean up your closet of what you left behind.
Yeah. And there's a bit of a prejudice, isn't there, really, against people with locks sometimes, isn't there?
Yeah, it is, and it still is. I often wonder why that is, but you could never understand a bully. But most concepts behind bullies is that there's a level of that person's insecurity behind it.
Yeah.
Because once you know what you know, you know what you know.
Yeah. I guess it's that old thing of having locks is something that is unique, and people that are unique are more likely to be bullied simply because they don't fit in.
Right. And that's just the thing, though, because we all individually are unique. Right. Oftentimes, and that's where the spiritual mentoring part comes in, because if a person, sometimes when you operate off of this lower frequency, you attract people, right? Law of attraction, you attract people who complement those low frequency thoughts you have. So if you say, oh, I don't like my forehead, that really is like self-sabotage to your subconscious. So now you start attracting people like that. But I always combat that with, well, if you don't like your forehead, who are you comparing yourself to? Because you technically are telling God that he made a mistake with you. And that's not the case.
That's definitely
so
true.
You must embrace it. Yeah, you got to embrace your individuality, because we all have our own passions. We all are here for our own purpose. So to be like the next person, then you're in somebody else's lane.
Now, there might be many people listening to this interview thinking that it's a load of nonsense, basically. Spirituality and hair have nothing to do with each other. So what would you say to those people?
I would say everybody's entitled to their opinion. You may just not be ready, because, messages are received just like a plant, right?
Yeah.
It might be a seed. It might be the first time you're hearing it. You might have heard it before. You might have got a confirmation. You might start asking questions now. I just address the people who are asking questions now, because I know that if it doesn't connect with you, I understand. It's just not your time yet. But when you start asking a question, then I'm willing to answer.
Yeah. Now, also in the book, you basically tell people how to take good care of their locks, don't you?
I do.
So do you think that's important as well? Does taking care of your locks improve the spirituality element?
No, it's just a matter of hygiene, honestly. And just to have that public respect for something so uniquely important. But for me, the most important for the health of the locks is internal, right? Yeah. What you eat, what you drink, what you read, what you put in your mind, all reflects on your perception of the world, right? Through your eyes, you are watching your own TV show. And if you don't like what you're seeing, then you might want to adjust what you're watching, what you're saying out of your mouth, because that activates a lot too. But to go back to the question, eating well is the benefit for the health of your locks.
Yeah, that's interesting, because maybe people tend to forget about the health of their hair, really, and maybe focus on other parts of their body more often.
Well, I feel like, so the hair needs vitamin A, C, D, and E primarily, right? So if you just take a multivitamin that has all of those nutrients, then you kind of are taking care of the rest of the body too at the same time. Yeah. So even if you're eating just for your hair, you're still getting those kind of nutrients. I just tell people to kind of shy away from those vitamins that are just specific for hair, skin, and nails, because I've even personally tried them years ago, and they're not favorable to the stomach. So a regular multivitamin, it won't hurt you. You still get the things that you need for your hair, but the extra stuff will be good for the rest of your body.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah. Now, how long did this book actually take you to write?
It didn't take me long at all because this is something that I exercise and I share with each and every client that I have.
Yeah.
I would say the thought process took about 4 years for me to connect all the dots and really understand what was happening even on my own journey, right?
Yeah.
And then when enough was enough, it was just more like, let's get this out here.
Yeah, and that's interesting because it's maybe a relatively short book, but it's got a lot of content packed in, doesn't it, really?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. And also, you're the owner of America's leading 5-star Locs salon, NJS Hair, so you definitely know what you're talking about when it comes to locks.
Yes. Yeah, I think customer service is so important.
Yeah.
Because I know people are, it's a spiritual warfare right now, right? And when clients come in, I understand that they come in to be pampered, to relax, and just unwind. Sometimes they want to talk. Sometimes the conversation is for them. Sometimes the conversation is for me. But I just want it to be a comfortable place, a home away from home where you can just unwind, get your thoughts out, revisit certain things, get rid of question marks, and just leave confidently. So it's not only your hair that got done, but also it's a mind, body, and soul experience.
Yeah, that's quite important because when you're in a salon, it's a time when you can relax and forget about everything, isn't it?
Yes, yes. But I've noticed a lot of salons out here is very chaotic. It's a lot going on. You know, our television is set to a low setting. It's not loud in there. So even if a person want to kind of zone out to their own thoughts, they can. It's a nice mix, and we also have the eucalyptus blowing, so it's a common sense in there. It really has like this spa-like feeling.
Yeah, that sounds
with the
lovely.
leaves from the ceiling. It's a nice scenery.
Yeah, that sounds very lovely there. And I guess there will be some people that come in that maybe don't want to talk, so I guess you're all right with that as well, right?
Right. If they just want to come and sit and just get their hair done and relax, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And you've done some other books as well, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have Intro to Go, because finances is a thing. So I have Intro to Go, Intro to Crypto, Intro to NFT. I also have in the works right now, it's getting edited, a children's book series, because I noticed a lot of people are struggling with inner child traumas. So this children book series basically is going to try to address those same things with the children now, so that they can recognize it before they get an adult, hopefully breaking that cycle.
Yeah, that sounds great. And the gold book is interesting actually, because apparently gold is approaching a 20-year high. Is that right?
Yeah, and honestly, I recommend that be, that's God's goal, God's money, right? So, with everything going on now, with the dollar being stretched and everything going over to crypto, I just feel like the safest thing is to purchase gold.
Yeah, definitely. And crypto as well seems to be the future and an exciting thing that people are using to make loads of money.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of feels like the lotto to me. But it's here, right?
Yeah.
It's here. It's something that we have to face. I feel like all this is going on so that the conversion can happen for crypto. So it's definitely here. I just personally just like to have something tangible in my hands. So if we're going to switch over to crypto, then I think that we should be okay with having gold as an exchange, which I do offer that in the shop as well.
Great. Well, in the meantime, where are we able to check out your latest book, Locs Linked to Spirituality and the Importance of the Loc Journey?
So it's out now on Amazon. You can search, Locs Linked to Spirituality by Christina Clement on Amazon. And right now that's the only platform so far, because we just got a lot of moving pieces, because there's another big empire coming in the background that I'd love to share share it on a later date.
Oh, sounds exciting. Well, many thanks for joining us today, Christina. Stay safe.
Thank you so much for having me.